What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Happy Friday!
Happy Friday indeed. TGIF, right?
TGIF to the DGN fam. Oh, what's happening with
snap
over here?
Oh, snap. That was awesome.
Get that back in the center. What's up, Kai, C, Kwasi, Philip,
There
Kane,
was so much of what
gang.
you said, the camera got affected.
Yeah, right? I don't know what's happening with this wire. Something's tugging on this that shouldn't be tugging on this. There's a ghost.
Dare you? How dare you, camera?
What the heck?
How dare you?
Don't mind me as I continue to still get situated, even though everything was totally set up.
Yeah.
Fine before the stream started.
So this is
right.
This has been an interesting day since I think we covered almost everything from the Xbox Games Showcase.
Yes.
And we'll jump right into that after these first couple of stories, as we talked about at the very end of yesterday's episode, which was our first story for today.
So our first story for today is a hot one because amid backlash, the U.S. Army retreats from Twitch.
So the U.S. Army has dealt with sustained backlash over the past few weeks against its recruitment-oriented Twitch channel, which has banned viewers for asking about war crimes and hosted supposed giveaways that just dumped people out onto a recruitment page, which the Army has since claimed did enter viewers into a competition through other means, but Twitch nonetheless forced it to stop running. Now, in a response to this, it looks like the Army is putting a halt to all Twitch activity, at least now for the time being.
I also just have to say, if I say I'm doing a giveaway and then the website link goes somewhere else and it doesn't say anything about a giveaway, but I still say you were entered into something, that sounds like a straight up lie to me. Yeah. But I don't know. They think it's true, or they say it's true. So today on Twitter, or I think this was yesterday on Twitter, esports consultant and journalist Rod Slasher Breslau said that due to recent media coverage of fake giveaways and potentially unconstitutional bans, the U.S. Army esports team has paused social activity, streaming on Twitch, and official activations with Twitch, including participating in upcoming Twitch Rivals events. Further noting that the Army might not resume these sorts of marketing efforts until spring 2021. Mark it in your calendars.
Yes. So Breslau specifically cited an email detailing all of this, which comes from a person close to the Army. And Kotaku, who sought out some information, also saw this email. Among other things, it explicitly points to the negative news coverage of Army's Twitch efforts as a reason for the decision to go radio silent.
Kotaku reached out to the Army and Twitch for more information. The Army did not reply, and a Twitch representative said in an email that the company doesn't have anything to add at the moment.
So, as of now, the Army's Twitch channel hasn't streamed in almost 2 weeks. And during that time, numerous people, streamers, and organizations have criticized the Army's efforts. This includes legal organizations like the ACLU, and today, the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, which demanded in a press release received by Kotaku that the Army and Navy stop banning viewers who ask about war crimes.
Katie Fallow, a senior staff attorney at the Knight First Amendment Institute, in a press release said, once the government opens up a space for expressive activity to the public at large, the First Amendment prohibits it from excluding speakers from that space on the basis of viewpoint. The Army and Navy can't constitutionally delete comments or ban people from these Twitch channels simply for asking questions about issues they would rather not address.
So, as a result of all of this, according to Vice, U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez now plans to follow a measure that would entirely prevent the military from spending money to recruit through services like Twitch. Amen to that. Specifically, it would also forbid that the military from using funds to quote unquote maintain a presence on Twitch.com or any video game, esport, or live streaming platform. At present, the measure is just a draft amendment filed to the larger House Appropriations Bill, so it might not survive reviews by multiple committees in coming weeks.
While the Army is, for the time being, ceasing its efforts on Twitch, the Navy continues to maintain an active presence on the Amazon-owned live streaming platform, one which has also received heavy criticism for bans and dodgy tactics like view count inflation. The Navy's channel most recently streamed 2 days ago, and there's currently no indication that it will stop. So long as it continues to employ heavy-handed moderation tactics, it's unlikely that demands for change will stop either.
And so Meenakshi Krishnan, this is a legal fellow at the Knights Institute, states this: because the Army and Navy are using these Twitch channels to recruit young people, this issue is about much more than just esports. She says that participants in these forums have a constitutional right to engage in speech critical of the military. The Army and Navy certainly have no legitimate interest in suppressing speech relating to war crimes.
If I could describe this whole thing with like one phrase, it would be dumpster fire. Like this seems like a huge dumpster fire to me. The Army is, being unconstitutional by banning on Twitch. I think it's good that, this is being addressed, because I've talked a few times about how laws haven't really, caught up to the current world we live in, which is a lot of times on the internet and a lot of times digitally. So saying that, Twitch is a public forum, that people have the right to speak, that silencing them is a violation of the First Amendment, I think is a good move to at least get that, squared away. Yeah. I wonder if AOC's bill or AOC's proposed, bill is going to, go through. I have a feeling that it might not, just because Army and Navy recruitment tactics are so aggressive, and they spend a lot of money doing that. They want to be where, young, impressionable Americans are, to get them to sign up, which is it just feels so strange to me to go to a convention and see a huge, U.S. Army booth there, and it just seems really out of place next to Resident Evil and maybe Fortnite. It's also the Army's here, very strange.
Very, very strange. And as we've discussed, I'm actually happy that maybe somebody saw our news channel as we were discussing this, that the Army should just stop what they're doing, and the Navy as well. I think they should take the Marine approach to what it is that we're seeing, and that is not to be involved with video games when your place of being is war. You know what I mean? It doesn't really go together. There should be no gamifying war, and it should be bothersome to those that feel like this is what is that? An uncomfortable place to be. I don't understand. Like you're saying, if I'm there at a gaming convention and I see the U.S. Army's presence in this gaming convention, I should be uncomfortable by that, because it does feel manipulative in practice. And it's why are you here? What are you trying to do? So this is a great moment, in my opinion.
I think so too. Philip says, I love AOC so much. I hope it does. Me too. Disclosure, big AOC fan here. Yeah. I also think that this comes at a really bad time when a lot of Americans are calling for the demilitarization, for less funds to go to the military. We don't need police forces that, have anti-mine vehicles in just neighborhoods. And people are really taking a hard look at spending. I think that, public opinion is shifting a bit from, just having the biggest and best military in the world to, hey, how can we use these funds to, help better the lives of Americans?
Yes.
And when I hear about the Army and Navy streaming on Twitch and competing in Twitch rivals, it also makes me think of why is my money going to this? So much of my income goes towards taxes. I just saw a streamer tweet about how, she made 10K on Twitch last year. Twitch takes half her sub money. She gets 5K. She pays 2K in taxes. She's left with 3K on the 10K that she kind of brought in. And so, so much money is being goes to taxes and goes to other companies, and to have that money go towards the Army and Navy playing video games on the internet won't sit well with a lot of people.
Yeah, I have to echo that for a second, and I know this is a daily gaming news channel, right? And this is what we're talking about, but it's so true when you're saying specifically regarding this country, is that when your taxes, and a large majority of those taxes, are going towards the military, we understand that this country has a large military presence in the world that is undeniable, and you are recognizing that our earnings, which right now are very hard to maintain, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, you should be bothered by the fact that if your tax dollars are going towards something that you do not want and you do not feel it is right, it should be allowed, your constitutional right, to speak up and say something and not be criticized, banned, or affected by that when you do address that. So, Twitch, I'm really happy to see what Twitch continues to do to lift up people's constitutional rights and their own terms of service, and using those terms of service in tandem with with that document as a means to say, no, you can't do that. Get out of here and stop doing that.
I'm glad. I'm as you said, I'm glad that Twitch has really taken a hard look at these things with, Trump streaming on Twitch, and I think his account got banned because he said something that was inciting violence or hate speech and violated TOS. Bernie Sanders has a Twitch channel where he's,
his fireside chats,
rallies, his fireside chats, and for political channels, the subscription button is off because you can raise funds to donate to a politician, but you can't do it through subscription money, and I think you can't do it through bits either. So, Twitch has to be, very well versed into how politics and how, the law really comes into plays with a lot of these streams and a lot of these, new parties coming onto the platform. And I'm glad with the measures that they've taken so far. Good on you, Twitch.
Good on you, Twitch. Well, the next story that we have for you today is one that is also one we talked about yesterday. An exciting one, in my opinion, is, I don't know if you guys remember Jet Set Radio, but this was a really popular game, and it looks like we're not seeing a new Jet Set Radio, but we're actually seeing a new game that's essentially a clone of Jet Set Radio.
Right, because if Sega won't make a new Jet Set Radio, these guys will, as there is a new team that's making their own version of Jet Set Radio.
That is right. So as we will see here, there is a 15-second teaser trailer that they showed. But if you could say that a new game looks a lot like another game, and that can sometimes be scandalous, well, if no one wants to make the new game of the old one, I guess you would say it's kind of welcome, yeah?
So here's Team Reptile's Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. So that, again, is Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, coming to PC next year, which is as close as we're going to get to Jet Set Radio without anyone actually shouting, Jet Set Radio!
Here's the trailer.
What's up, Kev? This is so jamming.
I mean, let's just take a moment there and just recognize that that is pretty much Jet Set Radio. Like, here's Jet Set Radio, and we're just, I feel like I watched a trailer for the brand new Jet Set Radio, but it's just not Jet Set Radio.
Right, they did a great job of making it look pretty much exactly the same. That's so cool.
And what I think is awesome about this is what seems to be the internet's response, and specifically that gaming community response is, yes, finally, we get to play this game again that I haven't gotten to play in so long, and I was such a huge fan of it. With all the resurgence of reboots and remakes and re-envisionings that we see, there are some titles that stand out to us that are like well loved and received. One I can think of that hasn't been handled in a long time is a game like Twisted Metal, that I would love to see get that same treatment. But I also look at Jet Set Radio and I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad that this game is getting this essential like reboot, but under a new developer.
Right. Philip says it was 14 seconds of straight fire. I think it's great that, these developers have kind of taken it into their own hands, and they're going, we want this game. We want Sega to make a new one, but I guess if no one's going to do it, like, we're going to take that on ourselves and also do, a killer job at it.
Yeah, it looks just like Jet Set Radio. What I'm hoping happens, maybe this could occur, is I'm hoping that this is embraced. This isn't fought over. This doesn't become a conflict in any way, because, we probably aren't going to see a continuation unless there is one coming out, or they decide, oh, you know what? We're going to just go ahead and continue the Jet Set Radio because Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is going to take our clout away.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
I don't want it to be seen as like a cheap knockoff version, right. As you said. I don't want this to be a conflict of interest where it's like, oh, this game looks perfect, but now that we've seen it's popular, we're going to shut you down because you're infringing on our IP. I think that there's a time and place for some not reboots or copycats, but this seems like it was a labor of love. It was just like, we just love this game so much, we wanted to make more, versus of like, we're trying to steal an audience. Yeah,
it's so true. And we don't really know what is to be next in the reveal of this game. Most of kind of what we got was that 14 seconds of fire that they're commenting on. And so this is just that hopeful moment of we'll see a gameplay soon. We'll get more information as to what it will be like. How similar will it be to Jet Set Radio? And also the differences that they may put in there that makes it feel like its own title.
Super cool to see it. I feel like we're going to see way more of these with Dreams coming out. It's probably not going to be, the same or maybe as clean as these developers have done with Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, but we're probably going to see a lot of copycats or kind of the fan fiction version of games realized, because now you can create those.
That's so true. And that's exciting times to be living in, to see that happen. I'm all for it. I can't wait to see more of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Really mouthful of a name there, though.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I'm good at tongue twisters, but this one is really difficult for some reason.
Yeah.
So our next topic is about the Xbox Games Showcase that was revealed and shown and broadcast yesterday. And we found an opinion piece from Game Revolution that talks about how the hype train for the Xbox Games Showcase derailed almost immediately. And we're really curious about your thoughts as well, what you thought of the showcase, if you were hyped, if you weren't so happy with it.
I think one of the first things that we all said was, we really hope that this is gameplay and that they're focusing on it being gameplay and that we think it's going to be gameplay. And what I feel like the universal response is after seeing that event was, we didn't get gameplay that is authentic to the Xbox Series X.
We didn't. As we showed on our stream yesterday, it was a lot of trailers, which I think is cool to have trailers, but those trailers did not have a lot of gameplay. Again, it was just trailers. So the first look Xbox Series X gameplay stream back in May was pretty rough. It was an hour of pre-rendered and in-engine trailers with no gameplay, and it left a bad taste. When an expensive new console is a topic of a stream, people want to see gameplay. Many anticipated that the Xbox Games Showcase would finally bring the smorgasbord of gameplay and in-game trailers like we saw in Sony's PS5 reveal stream last month. After all, Microsoft had already stated the stream's emphasis on games. Surely there would be some deep dives into upcoming titles for the Xbox Series X.
Well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The stream started off strong with that demo of Halo Infinite, though that game didn't do much to show off the Xbox Series X's power, and recently learned that that was actually running on PC. And it
really?
Yes, that was confirmed to be running on PC.
What?
Yeah, so however, it was a good opener for what we thought would be an exciting hour of authentic Xbox Series X gameplay. However, after the Halo reveal, the stream went back to the same boring pre-rendered cinematics.
We can assume that given no delays, the Xbox Series X is going to drop in mid-November. That's 4 months until Microsoft will be asking people to drop $400 or $500 for an Xbox Series X. We've yet to see a candid look at either next-gen console, but Sony has avoided raising red flags by trickling out info about their platform and showing gameplay with the unequivocal statement that it's captured from the PlayStation 5 consoles. This isn't the case with the Xbox Series X, as even that Halo Infinite gameplay premiere, as Marrone said, was captured on hardware representative of the console, but not actually on the console itself.
Yeah, so in fact, we were not able to find a single instance of actual confirmed in-game footage of a next-gen Xbox Series X title. In March, Microsoft invited journalists to take a look at the upcoming console, but the only gameplay shown was from current-gen titles. Both major Xbox Showcase streams haven't shown anything that's explicitly labeled as being played on the Xbox Series X. This was an opportunity for Microsoft to highlight the strength of its next system, and it ended up ultimately being lackluster.
Yes, exactly. Kane Guardian says, so the reason I was sold on the shiny trash bin was on PC. Yes, those cool games that you saw that you liked, like Halo Infinite, saying, oh, Halo Infinite's really cool, maybe I should get an Xbox Series X. That gameplay was on PC. So currently there is still no particular good shining reason that I can recommend for someone to buy an Xbox Series X. Crispy says, it feels like such a weird dodge to not just play it on the console, doesn't it? You'd figure
really
that,
does.
Halo Infinite would be able to play very well on the Xbox Series X. There's no excuse. It's a Microsoft game, on a Microsoft machine. I agree that it's just a weird dodge, and it makes me wonder if they're hiding something, or maybe there was miscommunication, or maybe someone just said it would be easier to do. But right now, consumers want gameplay on the actual machine, and it was it's a big red flag for me that it wasn't shown on the machine itself.
Yeah, it really is. It's unfortunate.
So the big takeaway we saw on social media was that people were happy that all the games shown would be on Xbox Game Pass. That's cool and all, and a hell of a deal, but it's bad news for Microsoft, because when you're about to launch a brand new console, you don't want people pumped up about how thrifty they can be. With the statement that there won't be Xbox Series X exclusives for a few years after the console launches, I'm not sure what Microsoft's endgame is here. The company almost seems like it's taking measures against people moving to its new console.
And yesterday's stream was a great example of how the marketing paradigm has changed over the last year. Companies can't show a bunch of trailers and depend on influencers and the media to come to visit their booths and play their games and disseminate info to the public. Microsoft has not adapted well to this, and it really shows. Furthermore, the Xbox Series X marketing is confusing, and this stream didn't do a lot to convince people to buy the new console. As Kane Guardian says, so should I just get a gaming PC?
Right? That's what the big takeaway was from the Xbox Game Showcase was, I could just get maybe a gaming PC, maybe the Xbox Game Pass, and be all set. So Microsoft seems divided with where it wants to take the Xbox brand. The Xbox One was created with the thought that it could be an all-in-one entertainment device. Well, no one really wanted that, so Xbox leaned into becoming a platform and Game Pass, and that's become the company's niche. But Xbox as a platform and Xbox as a console haven't formed a cohesive package. Instead, they seem to be two competing products intertwined together, leading to mixed messages from Microsoft and a confused ramp up to the Xbox Series X.
You know, Crispy's comment there is one that it makes me think it's like maybe they want
spot on
to focus Windows. Maybe they're self-sabotaging Xbox because they just recognize that the PlayStation 5 and Sony and Nintendo Switch have really cornered their position. They've cemented their position. So the Xbox Series X is going to struggle in this next gen. So let's just focus on Windows PC gaming, and maybe that's where it'll end up going.
It just seems so strange to me that, that does sum it up, that this does feel like self-sabotage. I'm surprised they're not going the route of, hey, you can play all these games on PC, but if you don't have a PC, like buying an Xbox Series X is going to be leagues cheaper. I mean, a lot of, really good gaming PCs can be $1,000, $1,500. You need probably at least a $600 PC to play these games. Why not just buy, an Xbox Series X? It's going to be way cheaper, and you're going to be able to get the same power.
Yeah, exactly. And the story doesn't stop here with this opinion piece, as The Verge did some more digging after this event. And some of the stuff that it's discovered recently is things that we thought were necessary to share, because anyone who's in the space of wanting to jump into the next gen is seemingly excited about the Xbox Series X. You may need to start paying attention to some of the things that are going on and being said in the smaller interviews, the dialogue pieces that you as these as journalists are going out and finding, and we're able to sit and kind of marinate on, as it looks like Microsoft is already breaking a big promise with the Xbox Series X.
So did Microsoft convince you that you wouldn't need next-gen hardware to play Xbox Series X games? Think again. Fully half of the next-gen games that Microsoft showcased at its Xbox Series X showcase yesterday, including Forza, probably aren't coming to Xbox One.
So that suggests either some of those games aren't actually coming out for a long time, or Microsoft has already broken a big promise it made literally just last week.
So for years now, Microsoft has been working toward a future where you don't need to buy the latest console to play the newest games. But many now run on a spectrum of hardware, including Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, and Windows PCs. And the upcoming Xbox Series X was touted as the culmination of that vision. It will play almost every Xbox One game, as well as Xbox 360 and some original Xbox titles. And Microsoft has repeatedly telegraphed that many next-gen Xbox Series X games will run on 2013's Xbox One as well.
So, in fact, the company explicitly promised that its own in-house first-party games won't require you to buy the new Series X console for 2 years. And this is what Phil Spencer said just last week. He said, you won't be forced into the next generation. We want every player to play all the new games from Xbox Game Studios. That's why Xbox Game Studio titles we released in the next couple of years, like Halo Infinite, will be available and play great on the Xbox Series X and Xbox One. We won't force you to upgrade to the Xbox Series X at launch to play Xbox exclusives.
And here's what Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty told MCV in January. Quote, as our content comes out over the next year, 2 years, all of our games, sort of like PC, will play up and down that family of devices, Booty explains. We want to make sure that if someone invests in Xbox between now and Series X, that they feel that they made a good investment and that we're committed to them with content.
Here's a third version of that promise from March. Again, pay attention to what's about to be said here. We're making the commitment to use smart delivery on all of our Xbox Game Studio titles, including Halo Infinite, ensuring you only have to purchase a title once in order to play the best available version for whichever Xbox console a consumer chooses to play on.
But yesterday, during the Xbox Games Showcase, first-party titles Forza Motorsport, Fable, Avowed, As Dusk Falls, Everwild, and State of Decay 3 were all listed as coming to Xbox Series X and Windows PC specifically, with no Xbox One support and no smart delivery feature. Again, these are all games published by Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios and almost all created by developers that Microsoft owns.
So that's leaving us with 3 possibilities here as we pay attention to this information. Either 1, Microsoft broke a huge promise in record time. 2, 6 out of the 9 next-gen exclusives Microsoft showcased won't arrive until 2 years after launch. Or someone screwed up with making the presentation title cards for each game.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it were the last one where this was just a mistake. I feel like the messaging has been, pretty unclear. Even yesterday, we were like, oh, Halo Infinite, we've only heard about Xbox Series X. And chat goes, no, it's also on PC. And it makes me think that by saying we're not forcing you to buy the Xbox Series X because you can play these games on PC, but the message specifically was you'll be able to play these titles on all of your Xbox consoles using smart delivery. So it seems like someone messed up. It seems to me that Xbox's messaging is, all over the place. There's not clear leadership. Yeah. There's not a clear message from leadership saying that, like, this is what needs to be announced. This is what we're doing. This is the message that we're going with. It seems that there might just be, too many cooks in the kitchen or not enough oversight, because when it comes to marketing to consumers, your message has to be crystal clear, and any, shadow of a doubt or confusion is really going to, give the wrong impression to consumers.
Yeah, because when someone says, well, then what's the point of getting it? As we have Crispy in the chat saying that, and then you have people acknowledging, like Kane saying, should I just go ahead and get a PC? I mean, what you are doing when you are having this game showcase and you are unfortunately coming away with mixed messaging is that me as a consumer, I'm not clear on your product. I'm not clear on what it is that I'm getting because you aren't showing me that as a through line from your text on a screen to the words that you're speaking. I can't necessarily see the consistency here. So I'm going to make a different choice. I'm going to go with something like a PC, go into PC gaming, or I'm going to go with the PlayStation 5 because everything that Sony says, they show, they play it out, that you get to witness it right before you. Or the same with going, you know what, I'm just going to go to the Nintendo Switch because it always seems like Nintendo, though they may take a while to get information out, there's a pretty strong through line with what they're saying.
Right. Nintendo is very clear with its messaging, and Xbox seems to also not listen to their own leaders, because when we were talking about the Xbox Games Showcase initially, when we brought this topic up today, we were saying that Xbox tried to be very clear with its messaging, saying, we will show games. This is a games showcase. We are going to show gameplay. They realized they really messed up with the Xbox Series X reveal because they mismanaged expectations and then didn't show a lot of gameplay. But again, they didn't really show a lot of gameplay either, even though they called it a games showcase. And it's like, Xbox, just please listen to your own leadership. I don't know what's going on here.
Thank you so much for the donation, Kai.
Thank
Almighty.
you.
We really, really appreciate it. I cannot echo enough how the first event was responded by the community with a very loud, we want to see the games in action. That was the takeaway from the first Xbox Series X event. They do this event again, and they say it will be an hour of us just showing games. We understand that to be gameplay. And it leads with gameplay from Halo Infinite, and then it fails to continue to do it the rest of the event, and it's just like, what is going on there? It feels like self-sabotage. Like, it really does. What is occurring out of leadership and to see it in action unfold this way is just kind of like, what? How do you guys don't have an excuse for this?
They don't. Buckle brings up a good question. Once a new gen of consoles comes out, how long do you think first-party games should be on the last gen? So I guess personally, I don't think they need to be on the last gen at all. If you have a new console with a brand new game coming out specifically for that new console, I think it's really nice and really cool for them to have it available on the previous gen. But I personally don't think it's a must-have. What do you think, Baron?
I'm in that same boat. It's like, there's a reason why you have the next gen draw people over. First party titles, that's that kind of space of like between developer and studio, between distributor and developers. There needs to be that general agreement of what are you developing this for? So if Halo Infinite is supposed to be playable on the Xbox One X, why? Don't you want people to go to the Xbox Series X? Isn't that the whole point of it? Like, if they either need to upgrade to a gaming PC or they need to upgrade their console, it's the same as like, I can't go grab the God of War, PS4 and go play it on the PS3 and complain. So why make that promise and then why show it and not uphold the promise? Like, it just feels like they want to say stuff to draw people in and be like, you want to get our product, right? We want it. Yeah.
Right. It does feel like they're just kind of like saying stuff to be like interesting and cool. And it's like, well, people want to buy the Series X already. Like, we've had chatters that are like, yes, I'm about the Series X. Xbox can say whatever they want. I want to buy this game. And now Xbox is kind of giving people a reason to not buy the Xbox Series X. With next gen titles, I think that they're developed for next gen for a reason, because they use that hardware, because they have cool graphics, because you can have every NPC have its own living life, because you can do that on next gen hardware. I don't specifically see a reason why that needs to be made available to previous gen machines, because you're not going to be getting that full experience anyway. You're just going to be getting a watered down version of it.
Yep. And if they were, as Chat was saying, if they are consistent, if there was that feeling there as a consumer, you're interested in it. You'll stick with it. You'll trust it. You'll believe it. But you're not getting that. What does that mean for the future? Does that mean the Xbox Series X comes and goes as fast as it shows up? Do we actually see, and this is something just to speculate on, do we actually see the fall of the Xbox in this next gen? There was a point where Sega consoles were around all the time. Guess what's not around anymore because they couldn't keep up? Those Sega consoles. Are we now seeing that same path fall before us for a place like Xbox, which was industry leader for a long time?
Oh, no, I think we really just might, because Xbox is focusing on the Game Pass and PC and xCloud. And the whole point of xCloud is that you can play on a phone, or you can play on another screen that's, not your Xbox and not your PC. They're making all these titles available on PC. With the Game Pass, you don't need an Xbox. Maybe this is the end of Xbox. Who knows?
Could be the shift that they're taking, and if that is the way they're going, I hope they come out and address it. I hope they don't do what unfortunately Mixer seemed to do with being shut down, as it was like, oh, we're going to shut down. We're not going to tell you when. Okay, we're going to tell you when. It was actually sooner than that. Oh, hey, look, it's no longer up. No, like just abrupt, boom, it's gone. I hope there's some transparency and communication. Specifically from a large entity like Xbox Game Studios.
Me too. I think best case scenario, I'd want to see Phil Spencer, or someone who's really like working in with the nuts and bolts of Xbox and the Xbox brand, come out and say like, hey, Xbox, we want Xbox to do well. We're going to clear up all this miscommunication that's happened. We want to, really clear the air and sell you on why you should buy an Xbox. I just want someone to, address all of this versus leaving us to speculate, is this the end of Xbox? Do they not care? Where is the leadership? Why is the messaging, so all over the place? Why was there only 8 minutes of gameplay in the game showcase?
These are great questions. One that needs to be addressed. Phil Spencer should get out on the front lines and address all of this. That should be the first thing that we see as people are sitting 24 hours after the game's showcase, where he is supposed to be that face of the company, representative in the public eye. So, honestly, I am, Phil Spencer needs to make himself known, okay? He really does. Along with Phil Spencer.
I also think that the lack of E3 and all these not E3 events are kind of really diluting the messaging around games. At first, I was like, it's cool, all these indie games maybe, and all these different studios can get their, time in the spotlight. But we have seen that these major events from Xbox are the ones that people are really looking at. The reveal back in May, the game showcase that happened now. And Phil Spencer has been doing, a lot of interviews. There's a lot of press, a lot of kind of PR and journalism around Xbox in all the in-betweens, but these are the events that consumers are looking at, because I can't just always be thinking about Xbox and reading on the Xbox news, to get a holistic view. I'm just going to be looking at the main events because that's probably what's most important. But it seems like they haven't, really honed in on that or paid as much attention on that. That is where, the majority of their announcements are going to be coming out from.
Yeah, and an announcement that has come out from this showcase for a title that I truly believe Xbox itself is banking on is going to hit very well is our next story, which is actually regarding Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. It is being quoted as taking players hundreds of miles seamlessly across Iceland.
The big Xbox game showcase has come and gone, and we did not get a new trailer for Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, although in a way we sort of did. Ninja Theory has confirmed that Hellblade 2 takes place in Iceland and have released a new development video showing many of the real-life locations they scouted for Senua's latest journey. So, not a trailer exactly, but the video does hint at many of the sights and sounds you'll be experiencing in Hellblade 2. You can check out the video as it's being shown on the screen.
It definitely does sound like Hellblade 2 is going to be a much larger game than its predecessor. The original Hellblade could be wrapped up in about 6 or 7 hours. Now, while the sequel is apparently seeing Senua travel hundreds of miles seamlessly across Iceland, now whether that means Hellblade 2 will be a full open world game is yet to be known. But it should be a groundbreaking visual feast, as Ninja Theory has reconfirmed that the game will be running on Epic's Unreal Engine 5 tech, which, when we've seen in action as from the Land of Nanite demo, it blows your mind. So Ninja Theory's Tamim Antoinati's detailed everything the studio is going to capture of Iceland's unearthly beauty.
Rather than using Google Images or concept arts, they thought it would be much more interesting to take the filmic approach and location scout. So they contacted Saga Film and over 2 weeks went to 40 different locations and narrowed those 40 locations down to a journey Senua could take across Iceland. They returned there a few months later with their core creative team. Representatives of every discipline were there. Art, audio, design, and Melina Dwergens herself came along. They really wanted everyone to experience the full immersive feeling of being in such a strange, beautiful, and dangerous country.
And went on to say this: while they were there, they were also coordinated with Quixel Megascans, who happened to be there with a few teams traveling across the country, scanning different biomes, creating assets that they could use in their game. They went further, and they also took their audio team out there along with Helen and the band that they were collaborating with to capture sounds and soundscape of the land.
So the goal is to capture that sense of awe and epic of Senua's journey as she travels hundreds of miles seamlessly across Iceland, and to reproduce it and recreate it. A 9th century version of Iceland that is as real and immersive as possible. And this is the approach they're taking with everything in Hellblade 2. Everything should be based on something real.
And Senua Saga Hellblade 2 has been confirmed for PC and Xbox Series X, yet we have yet to be locked down on a release window.
As chat says, Walking Simulator Iceland Edition. Pretty much. I think that's I think that pretty much sums up, what this story is. But I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
What I really liked from, Hellblade was the environment was really cool. How you're immersed in this world that was like spooky and dark and, really grounded within nature. I hope that people that are new to this series realize that this is not really an action-y game. I thought it was going to be something pretty hardcore because the name was Hellblade.
Yeah.
Like that means to me like a lot of fighting demons, really bloody. It is not that at all.
It really isn't. And it is something to take into account here is they're promising this word continuously, seamlessly. And so for me, if it is this walking simulator as chat is joking about, which is funny, it could be something very profound if your whole journey is just her traveling across this land and the whole game takes place, all the stuff that happens is taking place as she's on this journey. Now if it is more of kind of like what we expect to see out of like an open world title like Assassin's Creed, maybe that will come with that type of impression. But I hope they are actually going the route of maybe more of like that Death Stranding type feel with this, because then that for me would play very well with what I saw from the 6 to 7 hour gameplay of the first Hellblade, and they could really go for the gusto with especially the mental illness that Senua is suffering from.
I think so too, positioning this as kind of a Death Stranding type game where it's just you within nature, with your own thoughts, like doing something big and grand and important, I think is the way to go. Kai says it's not. So I guess kind of a spoiler for the first game, just talking about the gameplay, is that it looks really intense. In the trailer for Hellblade 2, you saw like it looked like a fight or like a cult was happening and all these people were coming together. In the first Hellblade game, there's a lot of just like walking around, and you're going to have to face like a big creature that you have to fight, and you have to do all these puzzles and solve them to get to the creature. But once you get to the creature, the fight is maybe 10 minutes long, right. And it was pretty predictable. It was pretty easy, honestly. I think I might have killed them in my first or second try. So it's really not a big heavy fighting game, and I hope that Xbox manages expectations again, because in the trailer for Hellblade 2, it did seem, very intense and like there was, a big fight coming on, but this is not that kind of game. This is the kind of game where you go and explore Iceland and you take in Iceland, really like revel in that kind of beauty.
Yeah, that's where it should be. As to the promises that we've heard from Microsoft and from, Ninja Theory on this game, I hope they are not saying stuff that is not going to come true. That this is where you take a game like one that was revealed back on the Game Awards as to be like the surprise announcement at the Xbox Series X announcement at the Game Awards, surprise gameplay trailer from the next gen game, like all this hype that surrounded this game has to live up to these expectations. I mean, it is the first party title for the Xbox Series X that will hopefully ship the console. So they really need to make sure what they're saying is true and is actually being delivered upon, or you're going to see a heavy backlash, because this is one of those games they're putting a foundation on for the beginning of the next gen journey.
They are, and they really have to live up to that. Senua's sacrifice in the first Hellblade was also about, mental illness. Throughout the journey, Senua hears voices and has to, learn about her past and learn about herself and overcome that. But as you said, this is really the forefront of the Xbox Series X is this game, and they need to really, show consumers why they should be interested in this game, because, Hellblade is a great game, but if you're expecting a big, cool action shot game, this isn't it. People like this game for what it is. People like Death Stranding. They thought it was really cool, but they also knew going into it that it was pretty much like delivery simulator. And, consumers are okay with that, but you just have to tell them that that's really what it is.
Exactly. That's so true. That's spot on for Death Stranding, especially after, referencing it. But there's, another moment from this game showcase that did stand out to us and was one that is, of a title that I have heard about for a long time as coming out. Continuation of this series is that their announcement and they showed a trailer for Stalker 2. It's coming out for the Xbox Series X.
Fans have been waiting a long, long time. The game was originally announced all the way back in 2010, but we finally have a debut trailer for Stalker 2. The trailer doesn't contain much action, but we do get a tantalizing glimpse at the game's stark post-apocalyptic world.
So here's the trailer playing let's take into account that the Stalker franchise was always about the Zone. It's a standalone, hugely important character of this series. In the world that was created, the nuclear disaster of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986 wasn't the only one to occur. The second explosion hit the reactor in 2006, creating the Zone as we know it. It's a dangerous place filled with mutated creatures, deadly radiation, and a strange anomalous energy. However, it's not just an isolated place that's dangerous by itself, but rather a threat to all of mankind. Still, there is no stopping for the explorers.
Bounty hunters delve deep into the Zone, driven by its treasures and mysteries. Some of them are running from their past, others are blinded by money, and some are obsessed with finding the truth behind all the mysteries. These people are known as stalkers. You play as one of them.
And with Stalker 2, we are finally going to see what is being created, the thing that they have wanted to create most since the very beginning. For the first time in the series, the Zone will be everyone's to explore as a post-apocalyptic open world. One of the biggest ones to date, they're claiming. This is their most immersive world yet, and they are crafting it with love and the passion that this setting deserves. Using the most advanced technology to date, the Zone has never been this gorgeous, and it is yours to conquer or to be lost in forever.
Just looking at the gameplay on the screen, and even if those were cutscenes, they looked so cool. So both monsters and factions that inhabit the Zone are constantly interacting with each other. The previous Stalker games introduced A-Life, a living world simulating system. The reimagined version of this system, which we call A-Life 2.0, will control the state of the world and the behavior of characters and mutants, making the Zone ever-changing and truly alive. Countless events and encounters will happen every moment, even if you are not around to witness them with your own eyes.
With Stalker 2, they want every player to have a unique playthrough, and it will take much more than just an A-Life 2.0 to do that, as we are the author of our stories in Stalker 2. Putting aside the scale, the decisions that we make will cause not only short-term outcomes, but influence the world itself. They are crafting an epic branching story culminating in lots of different endings. And we will be able to make tough choices regularly when playing Stalker 2, and also need to be brave enough to face those consequences.
GSC Game World has also announced Stalker 2 will launch as an Xbox Series X console exclusive and will be available through the Xbox Game Pass from day one. Sounds like Microsoft may be helping GSC finally get this game across the finish line.
And Stalker 2 is coming to the PC and Xbox Series X. No release date has been specified, but for those who are a fan of the series or have been interested in the series, what do you think? Do you get excited about this? Is it exciting to go back to Chernobyl?
I am definitely getting this game, and since it's going to be on PC, I'm just going to be playing it on PC because, again, why would I get an Xbox Series X if this game is on PC?
It's such a great question in this moment is why would you?
Why would I?
Especially too, this is also that game that I've heard about for so long that we were supposed to see come out time and time again. And now we're here getting the announcement that it's coming to the Xbox Series X. And I'm just like, get it out on PC and deal with the next gen consoles. This game has been sitting and waiting, and there are fans of the first one that have just been like, what's going on here? This is like what's happened with the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim and Oblivion series. It's like, you guys announced this game so long ago, I'm just doubtful any of it will ever actually, if it will ever actually come out.
It's so wild that the last installation was in 2010. You know, fans have been waiting 10 years for this game to come out. But to go back to, you know, Xbox Series X versus PC, I was actually really considering, you know, getting both initially.
Right.
Like, yeah, I want a PS5, but also, you know, Xbox Series X, like the Xbox exclusives, like this is going to be a really powerful console. And, you know, Xbox is telling me like, just relax. There's no reason to. You don't have to give us your money, even though you kind of wanted to. It's okay.
And something I just remembered off of that article that was talking about the Halo Infinite was being shown on a PC was there was a claim out of there that this is one of those moments of we'll have to see when the Xbox comes out, but there was a claim being said that you won't be able to experience ray tracing on the Xbox Series X at launch, but it will be coming out for games at a post update. However, PCs that can do ray tracing will be able to handle that. And when I heard that, and it makes me think of what I was seeing with Stalker 2, and it makes me think of the commentary of you probably won't see these first-party specific Xbox Series X games for a couple of years, is if there are these technological obstacles they haven't been able to overcome, is it necessary for them to just say, yeah, these will come out on Xbox Series X, but also on PC? So for all you PC, you know, gamers who may be PC and PlayStation owners, you'll still get satisfied, and even more so because the games will be optimized for your gaming PC.
That's true. I mean, if I'm looking to, you know, get the next gen right away, to play these titles right away, I'm going to want all those features. I'm going to want to play Minecraft with ray tracing. I want to play, you know, these games, you know, at top notch, because that's why I'm, you know, that's why I'd want to buy the console right off the bat. At least gamers can, you know, get these games running with these, you know, GPU intensive settings on them. At least Stalker 2 is coming out. I personally haven't heard of this series, but the trailer looked great. The whole idea of being in a post-apocalyptic, you know, Chernobyl type land is super cool.
Really is.
I'm all about it because I would never go and visit, you know, that place in real life because it's too dangerous. But if I can explore it in a video game,
I'm there.
I'm there.
It's so true. Yeah, this was one of those series that I remember people talking about. They were like, if you ever get into PC gaming, you got to play the OG Stalker. There's going to be a Stalker 2 at one moment. Yeah, hey, I see you there, Kai.
Do you like our new channel points rewards? This is my gun mug for anyone who doesn't know.
And this is the dice book. Here's to you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, this is just great for Stalker series and Stalker 2 itself. The last and final story of this daily gaming news hour and week is one that we addressed last week, and it's actually a really cool one, as the best way to put it is out of Red Dead Online's clown protest, I guess we can say that the clowns win.
Because the clown protest pays off and Red Dead Online is getting an update. So this is an example of protest work. Congratulations, clown protesting team on Red Dead Online. You have done it.
So, impatient for more to do in Red Dead Online, the Moonshiners update, which came out a long 7 months ago, players began recently dressing up as clowns as a form of protest.
Well, now they can wipe off that greasy face paint and hang up their red noses because new stuff is coming to Red Dead Online at last, including another Outlaw Pass and a new Frontier Pursuit. It won't be long to wait either. Red Dead Online's next update is coming on July 28th, which is just next week, and probably means the clown protest had nothing to do with it after all, but we can pretend, and maybe this pressured them to announce this a little bit earlier. I'm surprised it took until now to announce that an update was coming July 28th.
Agreed. I think they did feel that pressure, and they did make sure that this was going to be something they got out sooner rather than later after announcing it. So the update will bring a quote-unquote new Frontier Pursuit that will allow, that will introduce players to the secrets of naturalism as a part of an all-new role. This is what Rockstar said. The new Outlaw Pass will accompany tons of community-requested features and fixes too. Later this year, Rockstar says an existing role in Red Dead Online will receive some exciting new extensions and augmentations, but they didn't elaborate any further.
If cowboys aren't your thing, GTA Online will also be getting a summer update. And later this year, quote, the biggest ever update for GTA Online will arrive, featuring Rockstar's latest take on heists in an entirely new location. We're not sure exactly what that means, but a new heist is exciting nonetheless. And this continues the legacy of GTA Online, which has been going strong for years.
This is one of those moments of recognizing the timing. And yes, you could say they were like, hey, we had this update planned. There was no announcement of it. They usually, like they're doing now with this GTA update, they go, hey, we have this big update coming. It'll happen later this year. They announce, and then it releases down the road. But with this one, it's like they announce and they're releasing it within 4 or 5 days. So this is where we can kind of take away that they probably recognized they needed to get out whatever they had completed or whatever was ready. We need to get it out soon. People are unhappy. We don't need to have an unhappy community going into the next gen, going into what our reputation is, everything that surrounds the popularity of the GTA Online community, everything that surrounds the popularity of Red Dead Redemption 2 itself, as well as the online community. So I do take away from this that there was a pressure to make sure to get this out fast, and they did.
I just love the premise of this protest and how kind of in good spirits it was. I'm surprised that there just wasn't an announcement, even a month ago of like, hey, we're working on these new updates. People would be like, cool, looking out for it, versus just like having to go 7 months being like, was this game abandoned? Like, should I continue playing this game? Like, I feel like a clown for waiting for new content. I'm just really surprised why they didn't announce anything. It could just have been, like a quick statement, official headline. That's it. No information. But at least now we have some news from it.
That's
Buckle
true.
asks, do you think GTA Online will outlive the next gen consoles? I'm not sure I'd use the word outlive, but GTA 6 is probably coming out in 2023, I think.
Yeah, that's the speculation based on they have an influx of marketing budget set aside for that year.
So I do think GTA Online will still be going strong, for at least the next 3 years until fans switch over to GTA 6.
Yeah, I think they'll probably also go the route of what we're going to see Call of Duty going, which is when the next Call of Duty title comes out, the updates they're making to Warzone will translate across multiple titles. I think there will be a space for the GTA Online community to still thrive into the next gen, and that the next gen version of Grand Theft Auto, which comes out, will also have its own strength as a GTA Online community that will be able to transition over and it not necessarily be like, hey, you're carrying everything over because it's a new location, it's all this new stuff, but the transition of your Rockstar account, maybe some of the money you have spent carries over so you can spend it in its new space. I think they'll really make sure to treat that community well, because this is so shocking that we're still talking about GTA Online, and it came out like 7-8 years ago, and it is still dominating the space.
Right. I think we're seeing this trend a lot with games like Halo Infinite, where, the next game is, the kind of forever game where you just get online updates, because if you can't update online, there's really no reason to have, totally new games come out, year after year. I also want to say that I don't think the GTA 5 or in the GTA Online community as it exists now will ever fully die, similarly as there's still gamers playing old school RuneScape. There's still people playing, World of Warcraft Classic, which did just relaunch, but a lot of those players are still the original, classic players that have come back to the platform. So I think with a lot of games, they'll never truly go away, and there's still always going to be, a diehard, core community there at the heart.
Exactly. And Rockstar hopefully can take this momentum of appeasing the Red Dead Online community, continue to feed that community for content, continue to do well with GTA Online, which it looks like they're doing a new location, a new heist, all this stuff that they're continuing to crank out. We know that the next gen version of the game will be available. We've already been hearing about that. So what comes along with that? Rockstar is still in that position of they're going to be unmoved, unwavered, as long as they make the right decisions for consumers to keep consuming. So if anything, Rockstar, pay attention to Microsoft right now and don't go the way that they're going. Make sure you're delivering on what you're saying you're going to deliver on.
Please don't go the way they're going. Please, all I want, as a summation from what we talked about today is a clear message from Microsoft for the Xbox Series X. Give gamers a reason to buy this console, because a lot of them want to. Don't make them just justify, getting all these games on PC, which is good for consumers that they don't have to pay, for an extra console. But I also don't really understand why those who want to spend the money on it, are kind of being discouraged from doing so.
Exactly. So hopefully we see a comic come out next week as we jump back in and we take the weekend break. Hopefully some information will surround this. Hopefully Phil Spencer will get out there and start speaking about it. However, that did bring us to the end of the Daily Gaming News Hour for this Friday and also for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this, DGN fam.
Thank you so much for joining us. After this, we're going to run a rerun of this episode and the episode beforehand. If you want to stick around, if you missed anything, if you just came into the chat, we're posting all of our VODs also on our YouTube, which is linked right below. If you scroll down and you're on browser, episodes are going to be posted there. And anyone watching a VOD, we are live from 1 to 2 p.m. every weekday Pacific time.
Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, following, whatever you do possible to continue to drive the numbers of the DGN fam and help us spread. But for daily gaming news and for all of you amazing human beings, this is the end of our week. We will be gone for the weekend, but back on Monday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For daily gaming news, I am Marrone.
I am Kaisa. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, all you beautiful people.